Hey everybody, welcome back for another video. Hopefully you guys had a great Thanksgiving. Hopefully a lot of you guys were able to cook some barbecue for your family as well. And if you guys chose to fry a turkey, I hope you didn't burn your house down. But at this time of year, when one holiday ends, another one begins. Our family rotates around a lot, hosting different holidays and things like that. But one thing that always tends to be something that we run out of, no matter where we are, is ice. And eventually at some part of the night, if you don't stock up, someone eventually has to leave and find some place that's open that's able to sell a couple bags of ice. But fortunately for us, I don't think that's gonna be an issue because we were just sent a new toy by NewAir. Introducing to you guys a NewAir Nugget ice maker. That's satisfying. So just pick this thing up. This is a very sturdy piece of equipment. Just on the dimensions of this thing, it's about 17 inches tall, 10.5 inches wide, and about 15.5 inches deep. I could say you can probably leave it on a countertop as long as your cupboards aren't really super low and you can slide it back there. If you look on the back side right here, you got your power cord, and you also have these two tubes in the back where you can kind of pick off. You can take these tubes out and you can drain the excess water out of your ice maker when you're trying to clean it. And then when you're done with that, you can just very easily rehinge that right there. There's a nice little viewing window up top so you can see how much ice is in there. You have these two indicators right here. One right here is telling you got full ice, and one right here that tells you that you probably need to add a little more water. Let's take a look at the inside. Comes with an ice scoop and a basket for all the ice. To set this thing up is super easy. All you really need to do is plug this thing in, open the top, and underneath the basket, there's a max water line. All you have to do is fill up the water to the max water line. In a couple hours, you'll have a basket full of ice. Another cool feature about this is that there's sensors right where the ice comes out. So you'll never have this thing making way too much ice and kind of overflowing, because once it hits that center, when the ice kind of maxes out there, it'll kind of just shut it off. Let's go set this thing up and get some ice ready. The max line. Put the basket back in. I'm gonna leave this shovel out so it doesn't get hidden in the ice, and we'll close this up. That's some good ice. Let's see how much ice this thing has made. Not bad for less than an hour right there. It's been about 2 hours. And this ice is looking pretty dang good. All right guys, to finish off this video, let's talk about pros and cons to this ice machine. I like the footprint of the ice maker itself, and it puts out a really good amount of ice within a couple of hours. Another function that this ice maker has is there's a self-cleaning function. There's a hose in the back that you can drain out all the extra water that you have in there, and then you put in a little bit of cleaner in there, you run it through the machine, a couple times, and then you dump out all that water. I think it's super convenient to have something like that so that you don't have to worry about like bacteria being built up and something like that, especially as you're gonna be kind of running it through a bunch. I haven't really thought much about how much you would use ice in certain parts of like cooking, like when you're blanching something or you wanna mix something in a cold bowl, or even simply just kind of cold smoking sausage and putting them in an ice bath. Having that ice maker just kind of sit on my counter there kind of was making me think about different things that I wanted to try because it is a little more accessible. The other thing for me, especially when I'm buying a lot of meat, when I'm doing pop-ups and things like that, I don't always have enough storage space in my fridge to keep everything, but to have something where I can just pump out a bunch of ice and just save it to use it in a cooler later is awesome. All right, and before we go into the cons, I want to talk about something that's kind of subjective, and I think the thing that's subjective is like the actual shape of the ice itself. I personally really like it. I love the texture of it, but because the ice pieces are a lot smaller, it will melt a lot faster. I don't really have that much knowledge about different types of ice, but I did do a little bit of research about like this type of ice and why it's used in a lot of cocktails. I saw a couple videos of bartenders talking about using this ice for a lot of sugary drinks that tend to have a lot of syrup and things like that. And because the ice pieces are a lot smaller, it's gonna dilute that drink a little bit more so it's not super sugary. But I don't pretend to be an expert on ice or ice machines or making cocktails and things like that. But again, having this ice maker here, I was also thinking like maybe I should start making some cocktails. All right, so let's talk about some of the cons. One of the things I'll say for this model that's kind of interesting is that, you know, once your ice tray is filled up, it won't automatically start creating ice. It'll sit in kind of like a standby mode, and then you kind of have to turn it off and turn it back on again. So just kind of double click the power button to start kind of reboot the process. It's not super inconvenient, but initially the first time I tried it out, I was scooping out all this ice and I was wondering why I wasn't hearing a noise in the background because it wasn't making any ice. But as long as you know that it happens and you need to make another batch of ice, I mean, it's just as simple as scooping out all the ice that you need and then clicking that power button twice. One other thing that I always have to keep in mind, there's a little flap kind of where the ice starts shooting out of, and I sometimes accidentally left that flap up when I was lifting up the ice tray, and it kind of blocked off the production of ice. So that could be more user error, but you know, there's more than once where I accidentally left that flap up and then I came back looking for ice and there was none left in there. This ice maker is pretty loud. I always try to pick a good time when I knew like my parents weren't watching TV or I wasn't shooting a video to have this thing running. It takes maybe 2 to 3 hours to create a lot of ice. And so, you know, it wasn't really that big of an issue. And again, if you're gonna be preparing a bunch of ice ahead of time, like it's super easy to kind of plan that, but it is fairly loud once it kind of gets going. So my suggestion would be, if you're having this ice maker, you know, put it in a spot where maybe you don't have that much going on, unless it's like for a party and you want people to have access to it, you can just make it ahead of time. But I would say probably the biggest con to this ice maker is the fact that once you fill this thing with ice, it won't stay frozen overnight. I made a bunch of ice just to see what it would look like the next day. I saw some chunks at the bottom and they were kind of all stuck together, so the pebble ice wasn't all separated like what you saw earlier. Almost all of it just kind of melted back into that water tray. So my suggestion would be to have like a Tupperware or a Ziploc bag or something like that where you can stash this ice so that you can clear space to make more ice. So this is a gallon Ziploc bag and all this ice was produced in about an hour and a half. So if you're looking to make a lot of ice, I mean, it produces a bunch. The last thing I'll say is this is a premium product. So right now it retails for $289.99, which I'm not saying is cheap at all, but if you're someone who does end up having to use a lot of ice, if you guys host a lot of parties, if you do have like a bar at home, you do like making drinks, and if you feel like you're someone who would benefit from having something like this, like I think it's a great deal. And I hope you guys know that when I make these reviews or other people send me things, I actually reject a lot of things because I know that it's something that I kind of don't really need or don't really want. But any products that I do a review, I want to give you guys my honest opinion. This company isn't paying me to say anything great about this product. All they want me to do is give you guys my honest opinion. So I just wanted to say that before I tell you guys that if you guys want to purchase this ice maker, I'll leave an affiliate link down below in the description for you guys to check out. And you can get 10% off by using the code JOEYIM10. So that's it for this product review, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully other companies send me some really cool stuff that I would want to review on this channel as well. But yeah, I think this one is a really cool one to kind of have around if you guys feel like you need it and you're sick of filling up ice trays in your freezer. Well, that's it. And now I got to get started on making my next cook video. I'll see you guys in the next one.